earning its street cred through tight mechanics, hot tracks, and what still might be the most sensible use of the Kinect to date. Dance Central has had the rhythm and motion game on lock for the past few years now, and it doesn't seem likely to let up. Seeking to serve fools up a third time coming, the series' latest installment hits the block with new songs, features, and multiplayer modes for 2013. Harmonix has no doubt done a good job of keeping the party going up until now, but are the series' moves still the freshest around?
We were relying on Darren McCoy to bring that dance intel back to DCI, but with them gone, well, that's where you come in. Tan's outfitting defeated crews with some kind of mind control device.
The diabolical Dr. Tan has declared war on the streets, and as Dance Central Intelligence's latest recruit, it falls on you to lead the funky fresh offensive.
Welcome aboard. Let's get you briefed.
This setup is little more than window dressing for Dance Central 3's playful take on the story mode, which has a bit more plot to it than any dancing game has a right to. But it's fanciful flourishes like this that point to a sequel eager about rethinking its framework. More than providing another set of tracks to jump, jiggle, and jive to, Dance Central 3 has a clear interest in expanding its appeal.
Oh, hey! You're here just in time for the flyest party of the 90s.
You'll find no better example of this than the mode's time-traveling twist. In order to complete your mission, you'll have to gather intel on the hottest dance moves across the ages. Once you've decoded all the mystery moves in a set, they come together in a so-called dance craze that has to be mastered before moving on to the next era. It's a thoughtful touch that frames the game's multi-generation slant in an intriguing way, interposing fresh and modern choreography with the classic dance moves that inspired them. It also means that the whole family can get into the action too, with old-school joints like the disco hustle and electric slide comfortably finding their way into the mix.
My hair is feathered, and this place smells like hot dogs.
A few sideline features like online score challenges, fitness, and playlist options flesh out the remaining bits of a single-player suite that keeps it relatively simple. But it's easy to see that Harmonix has put the most effort into improving the group experience. While the second game brought simultaneous drop-in, drop-out play to the table, 3 brings a variety of modes that actually make multiplayer a worthwhile function. Apart from the established performance and battle-style matchups, there's Strike a Pose, which forgoes dancing in favor of those who can pull off the most poses in a voguing-style minigame. Keep the Beat, on the other hand, takes the game's hardwired choreography out of the picture and scores players solely on their improvisation and timing.
I call them like I see them. And I see a couple of fools right here.
The most interesting mode out of the lot is something like a dancing version of Horse. Known as Make Your Move, players take turns improvising 4-count steps that are later strung together in a makeshift dance routine. The game does an impressive job of transcribing your custom jig into a pre-existing flashcard in the game, though it's clear that there are a few kinks left to work out. Even with our best attempts at aping the simplest steps, the game's internal ranking system was more unpredictable than not. While we're still a ways from Rock Band's fun customization options or content creation features, it's clear that Dance Central has made strides in the areas that it definitely benefits from the most, coming even closer to the ideal party game than it ever has been in the past. It's a significant upgrade in most respects.
That technique? Oh, it's just too sweet. Hit it, Glitch. Let's go.
Featuring a 40-plus track list that only gets bigger through importing and DLC, Dance Central 3 brings the best of hip-hop, house, and pop to bear in a simple yet highly satisfying simulation of choreographed dance routines. It doesn't get any easier than mirroring the motions displayed on screen, but what immediately sets the series apart from all others is its huge emphasis on accuracy. Whether you know a move or not, you best not come to the dance floor half-cocked. Limp your way through a body roll and the game will call you out for it with a red glow.
Look, don't be afraid to take a risk. Sometimes you gotta up the ante.
It's this discerning call for precision that makes learning and executing the routines feel worthwhile, even more so for Dance Central 3. Featuring some of the most complex maneuvers to date, it's a definite accomplishment if you can manage to execute some of the moves it throws your way. Tackling the concert choreography of R&B star Usher just might be the closest thing Dance Central has to Rock Band's pro modes.
Taking care of business like a boss.
But even if you can't hang tough with boy band routines or pull off a mean Dougie, bouncing along to easier difficulties still feels pretty substantial given the amount of thought behind each individual move. More than anything, Dance Central never feels like it's holding your hand, which is a good feeling if you're in it for the challenge. If there's one consideration to make, space will play a pretty big part in whether or not you should invest in the series, if you haven't already. If you combine a small room with Kinect's limited field of view, you might find the party over before it's even started with clipped feet and frequently missed moves.
Everybody please back up off of the street. don't forget, the groove is in you.
Cutting its hard-hitting beats with fun and flashy visuals, Dance Central 3 brings a slickly realized cartoon presentation not unlike that of previous games in the series. And though Part 3 doesn't switch up the style in any significant way, the game's genre-spanning time-traveling theme gives way to some clever details that music nuts would appreciate. You might notice a few famous music video outfits and venues scattered throughout. Audio-wise, the series sounds as good as ever with its smartly integrated chimes and jingles, acting as subtle cues that meter your performance.
Victory tastes oh so sweet, doesn't it?
Yo, things about to get salty up in here.
Strutting to the same set of improvements as those seen in later editions of Rock Band, Dance Central 3 steps up the series game with a bigger emphasis on the group experience, making it the definitive multiplayer version of the series yet. Combined with its broader variety in genres, time periods, and dance styles, it also has one of the most diverse and easily relatable selections of music, too. It isn't completely successful with some of its experimental features and still lacks some of the fun auxiliary modes of its sister games, but it's clear that it isn't just a glorified track pack. For all the aspiring B-boys and B-girls out there, Dance Central 3 is a great game to be experienced, and an even better one to share.
Haha, let's get this party started!
Welcome to Dance Central 3.
See this and other GT shows and game reviews on the GT Originals iOS app, available now on the App Store.